What is up, RPG fans? In this video, I'll be ranking all of the characters in Final Fantasy XIII. There's only 6, so this should be a really short video. I'll be considering them in all of their different roles as a whole, and then at the end, I will say my favorite party compositions, and I'll also be doing 2 tier lists, one for the normal game and one for the end game. So think throughout the game and even the final boss and stuff, and then think the second tier list is mostly for Gran Pulse missions, super bosses, and all that stuff. So yeah, let's get right into this. So first, I'm going to start with the normal game tier list, and that means that I'm only going to be considering their 3 main roles. So that's going to make this a way different ranking than the other one. So yeah. All right, throughout the main game. So we're going Lightning first, and Lightning is just really solid throughout the main game. Where I do think she definitely falls off quite a bit in the post game and stuff. I do think that she's a fantastic character. Having Commando, Ravager, and Medic just makes her someone you should pretty much always have in the party. She's really solid, and her HP isn't noticeably bad at this point in the game compared to later in the game. So I think that, yeah, Lightning is just a pretty dang good character, always doing great damage, and can be a backup medic if needed. But I might move her down to the B tier. We'll see. I don't really know where I was. I mostly focused on the end game tier list because that one's a lot more complicated. But yeah. All right. So then Sazh is also a really good character. He has Commando, Ravager, and Synergist. And I'm honestly, I think I want to put Lightning in the B tier. And honestly, Sazh is just amazing. I know people don't like his stats and stuff, and I get that. But Commando Blitz is fantastic with Sazh. His Ravager is a pretty lacking earlier in the game. I do think that Sazh is a pretty mean commando early in the game with good balance of magic and physical attacking, but it's all about his synergist because for the majority of the game, not counting end game, he's the only character that can really buff you offensively. He gives you faith, bravery, aced, and he's just so good. But his Ravager and Commando do suffer a little bit, but I honestly might move him up to the S tier because I do think he's one of the best characters. Snow has Sentinel, Ravager, and Commando, and honestly, early game, Sentinel's not really necessary, so I'm going to put Snow in the C tier. He does do a lot of good damage as a Commando, but you also really don't have him for quite a bit until Chapter 7, and same with Fang, so I really don't think, I don't know, it's quite a while before you really get to make use of Snow, and Sentinel's not really even a good class for the beginning of the game, except for fighting those guys that shoot that machine gun at you and pal and pull them that will never stop shooting machine. But yeah, really, Snow is not the best character. I guess he does get his summon pretty early, so that does make him nice to control in boss fights, but he's a fun character. But Commando, he's a good Commando, but Sentinel and Ravager, he's not a great Ravager. Sentinel's not really necessary for the early game. So yeah, I really do think that Snow definitely falls off. Okay, Hope is going to be the biggest change because I think Hope is great during the normal game because he is a medic, a defensive buffer, and an amazing black mage. Actually, while I don't love him so much personally, I think that he is one of the greatest characters for sure in the early game and stuff. And there's a reason that everyone says Lightning, Hope, and Fang is the cast for the game. I mean, I don't think that Lightning is as good as a lot of people say, but I think that Hope kind of carries because he's just the healer for this part of the game. There's no contest that he's the greatest healer and the defensive buffer. And if you want to survive a boss fight, I mean, the problem is you can't really change your party in for what? Until Chapter 10, you can't really pick your own party, so it's kind of hard to really rank them. But I think that Hope is just so good at all 3 of his roles at this point in the game that I think he deserves an S. Okay, Vanille, while she absolutely is my favorite character later in the game, she's not the greatest here. She's got Ravager, Saboteur, and Medic, and I think she's decent, but I think I'm still going to give her A tier. I think she is just a little behind Sazh. Her damage is good, her healing is great, and her debuffing is great. And for a while, she's the only debuffer, so I think that makes her pretty dang good. And then Fang, I don't think Fang is fantastic at the beginning as much as she is later. Her Saboteur skills are very lacking at the beginning. Her Sentinel's really not necessary, and her Commando's really good, but yeah. I think I'm going to give her B tier below Lightning. I think this is a fair ranking for the earlier game. I know that is a little weird to have Hope on top, but I think that's just kind of fair because he excels in all 3 roles. These two excel in 2 roles. This one excels in 1 role mostly, and Snow is just not really good. I mean, yeah. I think Lightning really is. I would say excels in all roles, excels in 2, excels in 1, really excels in 1 in Fang's case, and is just decent in 3 for her. And then so I think this is the fair, since you don't really get to pick your party composition. But if I were to pick a party, I would probably go these 2, and then Lightning would probably be my favorite party. But I know I put Vanille higher than Lightning, but I just think that this would be the most well-rounded party for the beginning of the game, except you have no choice. So yeah, it's fun. Okay, so that's kind of a weird tier list. It doesn't really matter to me as much as this next one, which will be the endgame tier list and the much more interesting tier list of the 2. Really, we're doing this? Come on. Okay, we're going to reset this. There we go. Okay. So now is for the interesting stuff and the part where I actually get to share my real opinions, because that last one is just kind of weird because you really don't get to pick your party for most of the game, which is interesting compared to most games, but stuff happens. Okay. Anyway, and Lightning, I still think she places in the B tier for I still just think that she's solid. She's a great Ravager, amazing Ravager. She's a decent Commando, a decent Medic, a pretty bad Saboteur and Synergist, and a really good Sentinel, but too little too late, I feel like. So I think she's just very much the most jack of all trades character, and I think that the B tier is the perfect spot for her. Sazh, to me, is an easy A tier. I know that he has bad attacking and magic stats, but his HP is amazing, and he's kind of the jack of all trades, but in a different way than Lightning. Lightning's more of an offensive jack of all trades, whereas Sazh is more of a support jack of all trades. But since Sazh is such a good synergist, a really good Ravager if you have random instant chaining or spamming Cold Blood, and he's just, I think that Sazh just really fits well in any party, and I think that his big thing over Lightning, in my opinion, he's a jack of all trades, but he also has 9,000 more HP than Lightning, and he has almost as much HP as Snow, even though he can actually do things well except for HP. I think he's just insane, but not quite an S tier. Snow is going to go in the C tier for the late game. I think that his HP and survivability make him really useful in some missions, but in general, he has good attack, but he can't compare to Fang. And he's mostly just a good Sentinel Commando and a backup Medic. But his other 3 roles are severely lacking. He's a bad Ravager, a bad Saboteur, and a bad Synergist. So I think that Snow is just a mid character, but I actually found myself swapping him in every few missions just because I needed a bit more survivability, especially in Adamantoise farming. He is a pretty nice character. If you have these 2 and Vanille, it's pretty nice. All right, now Hope falls all the way to the bottom of the list. He's definitely, I think, the weakest character in the game, because I just don't really see a point of ever putting him in the party. Because at least Snow, I switched in every so often. Hope I switched in like a total of twice because of his Veil ability. But then eventually other people started learning Veil, and then it was pointless. Or I could have just used a Fortisol, which I actually, I mostly just did that. So his HP is abysmal. His medic abilities are fine. I mean, they're the best in the game, but Vanille is just a way better character in general. So Hope Medic is not really too great. Hope Synergist is just, there's no reason when Sazh has that. And he has the most Ravager abilities, but most of those abilities aren't too useful, and you can't exactly go crazy like Ravager Sazh with Cold Blood. And I don't know, his Saboteur Sentinel abilities are absolute trash. I just think that Hope is really outclassed by Vanille in the late game, in my opinion. I think that, yeah, really, this is not really a point, in my opinion. Vanille is definitely S tier. She gets late game, all the death, her saboteur and medic skills are absolutely amazing. Her Ravager and Commando skills are nothing too bad, and she's just the ultimate. And she's a pretty good synergist, pretty good backup synergist as long as you have someone else using haste. I think that Vanille is just such an amazing character as a whole, and I think she just is necessary to have in a good party because of death and saboteur skills and everything. So she's really good. And then Fang, I'm gonna say that she is better or worse than Vanille. She's definitely in the S tier. I think I'm gonna argue. I'm gonna say worse than Vanille, just because, just a little worse. But her physical attacking is amazing. Her synergist abilities are absolutely obscene for the fact that she isn't a main synergist. Her saboteur abilities are great. She's an awful medic, but everything else she's good at. And I think that Fang is definitely one of the best characters. So, in terms of party compositions, here is what I'm going to say. If you want ultimate, okay, we're going to do some different things here. In terms of my favorite party in general, it would be Vanille, Sazh, and Fang. And I would be, I never control Fang because there's not really a point, in my opinion, because the AI is good at being a commando. But I would say if you're trying to use death, yeah, definitely. If you're fighting like a huge enemy, death is the way to go, or poison. So then I would be controlling Vanille. But if I'm fighting just generic encounters, so I'd probably control Vanille in boss fights. But Sazh, I like to spam Cold Blood as a Ravager with random instant change. So that means I would probably control Sazh. I also do like playing as a good synergist. So Sazh is probably my favorite character to control, but I would say Vanille is probably the best character control. So this is definitely by far my favorite party in the game. Now, in terms of if you just want a party that's reliable and I would say a party that is good, if you're mostly just focusing on the story and kind of just want to survive, I would say the infamous party of Lightning, Fang, and Hope. And I would probably just control Lightning just because it just makes things simple. If you just want a good, okay, like a decent party that kind of plays itself, gets the job done for like late game in terms of like the final boss and stuff, I don't think this party is going to absolutely own missions or anything, but I think this is a pretty okay party. If you're fighting an enemy that is spam status ailments, I would switch. I would say this was my favorite party. Very rarely would this ever happen, but I would swap Vanille out for Hope in like 2 different battles. If you're fighting a status ailment guy, that would definitely be the way to go because of Veil. In terms of survivability, if you're trying to just survive something and play the long game with attrition, I would say this is definitely the best party. Sazh, Snow, and Vanille. Vanille actually has an insane amount of HP for a healer. She's more HP than Lightning, which is so weird because Vanille looks like the most fragile character in the game, even more than Hope. But I guess she's buff or something. Anyway, so that is a good survivability party. Another party that I did sometimes like, if you just want full on damage, if you're ignoring death and all that, and you just are trying to go full damage, I would say this is probably the best party. Lightning, Fang, and Sazh. Mostly just because Sazh can use Cold Blood, and I would put Sazh as the party leader because Cold Blood, random instant chain can get him up to like 999 pretty fast, and then these other two will just own as commandos. So yeah, I think that. Or if you don't like random instant chain and just want to go full out damage, I would just suggest this party. Or if you just want like full on magic casting for some reason, which is, I don't know, if you're fighting if you're fighting a mostly magic party, a group of enemies that are very much physical resistant, I would go with this party. And I would go the opposite. If they are very much magical resistant, I would go Snow, Lightning, and Fang. So I think you get the gist. Yeah, I think those are, but yeah, ultimately I do think that the most well-rounded and best party is this, controlling Vanille or Sazh depending on the circumstance. I definitely think this is by far the best party in the game. So yeah, all right, I'm going to move them back to where they belong on the tier list just for one final look. A lot of people are going to disagree with this, and that is okay in my opinion. I know a lot of people who think Hope is great. I think Hope and Sazh are the two controversial ones on here. I think lots of people love Hope and hate Sazh, and the other way around. And either way, I kind of get it. But I really think that Sazh having 10,000 HP over Hope and just having more versatility makes him by far the better character. But yeah, I think that Snow is pretty. I think most people will say he's one of the weaker ones. Lightning is usually middle of the road, usually like fourth best on most people. But I think Sazh and Hope are the two contentious ones. But yeah, this is definitely my opinion. Let me know down below what you think. I am posting a paradigm ranking and a role ranking coming out soon. So the paradigm ranking will be ranking like Relentless Assault and Solidarity and Cry Disaster and all that stuff, you know, just ranking the paradigms. The role one will be ranking each of the characters in each role. So it's basically an extension of this video to go deeper diving. But if you just want, if you're here to get a good party, this is probably the video you want. If you're a Final Fantasy XIII nerd who absolutely loves the game like me, then go watch that next video, and I will make sure that in the end screen, I'll have the Final Fantasy playlist, so you can find it pretty easily. Thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, and let me know down below your ranking of the characters. This is a bit controversial, I feel like, with Sazh and Hope, but just let me know what you think. And again, oh yeah, one last thing. So yeah, this is the end game tier list. One more look at the beginning of the game tier list. I would swap Hope, and yeah, I would have it be like this. Earlier in the game, this is how it would look one last time. And I think that, yeah, Hope definitely changes the most. Pretty crazy there, but I do think that he's just so good at everything that he's meant to do. And yeah, so let me know down below your ranking of the 6 characters during the beginning of the game and the end of the game, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and peace out, RPG fans.